One time, my crew, Songs of Water, were invited. I got an email, and this guy said, "Hey, my son is a huge fan of your band." And he said, I'm conducting a youth retreat this weekend. And my son he really wants you guys to come and perform or to play. Now, I thought that this was a church organization or somebody who was like, oh, they want me to come lead worship, or they want me to. So I wrote him back. I said, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to come lead worship? You want us to perform? You want me to speak? What is it? And he's like, well, this isn't a church organization. He's like, we're going to have a psychic and a shaman, and we got a prayer maze that we're going to walk. We're having a big bonfire ritual, and we want you to play the drums, your African drums at our bonfire ritual. I was like, oh, cool. And I went back and I said, I'm used to playing in smelly bars and venues. But this is kind of new for me. And so I went back and I prayed about it, and I said, Papa, Lord, is this you? And he said ever so clearly, absolutely, it's me. And I said, okay, we'll do it. And he said, can you come? It was a relatively local event. And he said, can you come to our farm? And I want you to see the land, see where we're going to do the bonfire, and I want you guys to see where you're going to play and all this. I said, sure. And so we had, I'm going to try to, I promise it's worth it, so to hear this whole story. But we had a gig that we were playing at a bar somewhere, and somebody came up to me after the show, and they said, I got a prophetic word for you. And normally, the prophetic words that I got in bars went something like, that was the most beep thing I've ever heard. But this prophetic word, the guy came and he said, I see grapevines. He said, I see wine. I see grapes, and I see the stomping and the rhythm. Because if you guys know me, percussion is like, you cut me, I bleed rhythm. You know what I mean? It's like, but he said, I just see these grapes. I see these grapevines. I see stomping of grapes and this rhythm and this harvest and this whole deal. And I was like, all right, this is actually probably not beer, but this is God, you know? And so I wrote it down. And then however long it was after that, I went to this man's land, and I'm driving down the dirt road to get to his land, and it clears up, and I look on both sides of me, and there are grapevines on both sides of me where they're making wine. And I get to the land, and I get out, and he's showing me around. Oh, there, yeah, I'm so glad you're coming. He's like, this is where we want you guys to play. He's like, but in case it rains, I want to show you the inside venue where you guys will play. He said, but our shamans have prognosticated that it's not going to rain. And I said, well, the shamans don't know that we're called Songs of Water. We're not called Songs of Water for nothing, you know? And I said, literally, it rains everywhere we go and perform. And that's not a lie. I was like, 70% of the places we show up, it rains when we play, you know? And I said, maybe I should have named us like Songs of Support Our Ministry. I don't know. But anyways, so I said, well, show me the inside place. And he's like, yeah, well, okay. So he did. And so I admit, I cheated. I went and I spoke at a youth group that Wednesday night. And I said, guys, I've never done this before, but we're going to pray for rain, you know? And I get this whole youth group praying for rain. And they're like, Shonda Roti, la, 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 you know? And it was, I woke up the morning of the retreat. And I kid you not, I woke up and I heard, and I just went, you're really good. It rained so much that day, you can look it up in the records. It broke the record for the amount of rainfall we had in that month, you know? And so I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Can you like make the rain stop so we can load the van, you know? And so we load up and we go to the retreat, and it's raining. And so the guy meets me there. And he's looking at me, and I said, he's like, all right, let's set up inside. And he said, listen, here's what's happened. He said, it rained so much, the wood for our bonfire is soaked through. He said, everything we had planned for tonight cannot happen except for you guys. Is this amazing? And I'm just sitting here shaking with joy, you know, and I was like, okay. And so we set up in this little living room, and their entire retreat of all these hungry spiritual seekers came. And we played, and the majority of our music is instrumental, not all of it, but a lot of our music is instrumental. And we began to play much like what I did here, except with 6 of us doing it, you know. And we played for about an hour, I think. And at the end of it, my buddy and I there was this, Ray Hughes would call it a Selah moment, you know, and it's just like you feel it doing this. And we just started singing in tongues in this place. And like suddenly it was just like, and it was like we're on the one chord for 20 minutes and it's just like, sha-da-da-da-da, you know, I'm like, my eyes are closed, I'm not looking at what's happening, you know. And finally after this moment, we open our eyes and the music settles down and I look and the shamans are in the corner like staring at us like frozen. And I look in the other corner and the headmaster or whatever of this retreat is weeping. And he came up to us and he grabbed us and he said, because he knew I was a believer because of the funny interaction we had over email. And he said, your music healed my heart tonight. You know? And he said, this is what was supposed to have happened. And he was getting a download. He was seeing that this was the Spirit had responded to their hunger, What if we had been afraid to be an architect of hope in that atmosphere? What if we said, this is too non-Christian for us to do? You know what happened? A week later, there's a little wine shop in Greensboro that I visit every now and again. All right, I confess it now. You know my personal life. And I went into the wine shop to get a bottle of wine for our dinner. And the lady behind the counter said, oh, somebody came in here and left you a gift. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, let me give it to you. And it was a bottle of really expensive wine that the leader of that retreat had bought for me and left. Remember that prophetic word from the beginning of the whole thing about the grapes and the making of wine and all this? I just broke apart. I broke open. And guys, I could tell you a billion other stories like that of things that the Lord has done with us. But the reason I'm telling you that is because one, worship is so much broader than what we know it to be. Second, the Lord is giving us the language of heaven to speak into environments that before maybe we never had access, but these new blueprints, these new things that God is releasing to us from heaven is allowing us to walk through walls, is allowing us to go through places where previously there have been shut doors. But the old structures, Saul's armor doesn't work for us to get there. You got to be willing to be a little weird. And not weird for the sake of being weird, but I mean, God's the one who talks through donkeys and burning bushes. So, you know, you can take it up with him.